Today we're canning tomatoes again. I have so many tomatoes this year and I am quite thankful. Today I'm going to put up some spaghetti sauce with meat. I have never canned meat before in any of my vegetables, so this is a first for me. And as usual, we always start off by peeling our tomatoes. I dunk them in some hot boiling water for 35 to 45 seconds or until that skin splits. You do not want to overcook these. And I had gotten the wrong tongs here. Let me change them out so it's a little bit safer with this hot water. And you can take these right out of the hot water and place them in some ice cold water to cool them off quicker. I usually find by the time I get through with all mine and my other chopping, my tomatoes are cool. So this recipe calls for 2 cups of chopped onions, 5 cloves of garlic, and 2 cups of chopped green peppers, or you could use celery. Now this gizmo here, Mr. Hollis got for me for Christmas, and I love to chop things with a knife, but this makes it really easy when you're in a hurry. And there's different blades on it that you can get so that you can chop things smaller or larger. It's really good on potatoes too. But I was able to chop these peppers and these onions and garlic in no time. He ordered this online. I'll try to put in the description. If I forget, just comment and ask and I'll be glad to share where he got it from. It is quite handy. Kind of hard to clean, but I have gotten used to it. I'm using a mixture of peppers here, as you can see. Banana peppers, jalapeno peppers, right on red, yes to yellow, aren't you sweet, even some poblano. So now, while I've done all that chopping, my tomatoes have completely cooled, and I'm going to pop the skins off and take the core out. And they're just so easy to handle now. And that skin just comes right off. Make sure you cut out any bad places. You don't want any damaged fruit or vegetables in your canning process. And I also am using a mixture of, these are red snapper, Hostools, and Shelby Roma tomatoes. These are what I had ripe this day. You can use whatever you like. I'm just going to rough cut these up a little bit. When they cook down, they will be all mushy and just the right texture. So you just want to give them a rough chop. You can even use a blender and process them if needed. Once I get them all chopped up, I'll use my chopper, give them one last chop. Make sure I don't have any big chunks left in there. So this is the consistency. It is a little chunky, but it will cook down and be very blended. While I'm getting my tomatoes heated up, I'm going to start browning my hamburger meat. And this is 3 pounds of hamburger meat. You will need to stir your tomatoes constantly so they will not scorch. So I did cook these tomatoes for about 10 to 15 minutes before I added my other ingredients. So I'm adding 2 cups of onions, and it was about 2 to 3 cups of peppers. Again, this is just personal preference. And I did use, like I said earlier, quite a few varieties of peppers. Then 2 tablespoons of oregano, 2 tablespoons of basil, 4.5 teaspoons of canning salt, garlic, there's probably about a cup there, and a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Then I'm using 2 tubes of tomato paste, and you can use any brand here. Might help if I open it first. This is just some I had in my pantry. And again, you want to mix all this in good. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of parsley and 2 bay leaves. Now, before you jar this up, you'll want to take these bay leaves out. Also added a teaspoon of ginger. Now that my ground beef is done, I'm going to drain that on some paper towels. I'm going to get all that grease out. And that will be the last thing that you add to your mixture. So now that we've got everything together, we are going to bring this to a boil and then let it simmer for as long as it needs to simmer to get to the consistency that you like your spaghetti sauce. I cooked mine for 2 hours to get it to the right consistency, just on simmer, and kept it stirred. Gave it a final taste test, make sure I didn't need to add any ingredients, and it's a thumbs up. I'm going to ladle this into my quart jars, and this does have to be processed in a pressure canner because of the meat that's in here. We will do it on 11 pounds of pressure for 70 minutes. You want to leave about a 1-inch headspace in these quart jars. Once you get it all in your jars, you want to use some type of utensil and get all the bubbles out. You don't want any air pockets in there when you put them in your canner. I'm using a paper towel with a little bit of vinegar on there, just wiping around those rims to get anything off. This is a good time to inspect your jars also to make sure there's not any cracks. Then I'm putting my lids on. These have been in some warm water. You do not want to boil them, but you do want them the same temperature as your jars. Put your bands on fingertip tight. Now I've put about 3 inches of water in my pressure canner, and my pressure canner holds 7 quarts, so I'll have 1 jar left over to eat fresh. Once you get your jars in there, put your lid on. You're going to turn it on high and let the steam vent out for 10 minutes. Then put your weight on and start your timer, and you will do 70 minutes on 11 pounds of pressure. After 70 minutes, you will let it go all the way back down to 0 before you remove your lid or your weight. Use your tongs to lift these out of the canner and let them sit undisturbed on a counter for 12 to 24 hours. Then it will be time to check for your seals. You remove your bands and lift with your fingertips. If it does not come off, they are sealed correctly. And lastly, always label and make sure you put the year on these. These will last up to 12 months stored properly. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Yeah.